Hey everyone, this is AYBL from the music group, and I'm a friend of Rich, Brian's real name. Rich is sponsoring a contest for us to have our 12 desert island picks, and he had some rules. And one of the rules, of course, was there had to be a Rolling Stones album and there had to be a Beatles album, and then you only could use one album per artist, which sounds pretty reasonable to me. And I thought it'd be kind of fun for me to do it, even though I've just started my album collection. I felt pretty comfortable with the ones that I chose. So here we go. For the Rolling Stones, I picked Some Girls. Some Girls to me was like my first Rolling Stones album that I really liked. It had Beast of Burden and Miss You on it. And so it was like my first exposure to the band, and I really liked those tunes. And later on in life, I kind of got into the rest of the material from Exile and Let It Bleed and the other albums. But this one right here, really my sentimental favorite for the Rolling Stones. For my Beatles, surprisingly enough, even though it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, it's Abbey Road. It's Abbey Road because my favorite song of all time is Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles. And that's hands down. That number two on my list is not even remotely close to my number one overall song of all time. So Abbey Road, for sentimental reasons, the album that I would take with me if I had to take a Beatles album for sure. Then this is another artist that I didn't discover till I joined the channel. That I didn't even give a chance until I joined this channel for RTTC. If you don't get a chance to see those guys, Jimi Hendrix. Me, when I was in college, I could have swore I said I do not like guitar weenies. I don't like guys that just go off on these 15-minute guitar solos. I'm just not interested in that. But Hendrix, this album is solid. This got me really into the whole psychedelic rock thing. And I listen to a lot of neo psychedelic rock, and I know when I listen to them now that this is where they grab some of their material from. So kudos to Jimmy here. Adding a little soul flavor. Big Stevie Wonder fan. This is right through the middle of that time between Talking Book and right up to this album where he had like a 5 album run, Intervisions, and music of the mind. All that stuff came out in that time frame, and it was just all knockout music. And this is my favorite Stevie Wonder album by a landslide. Favorite song on here, I Wish. Great song. Remember it as a kid. Resonated with me my whole life. Beautiful album. You guys got to listen to it. Check it out. Another band, didn't even give a chance until I joined this group. I'm not really into any of their rock opera stuff, but this album, because it's mostly a singles oriented album, Who's Next? Really love this album. Great tracks on here. Baba O'Reilly, Behind Blue Eyes, great songs. Because this is more track oriented, it kind of appeals to me more than the opera stuff. It's not that I dislike the opera stuff, it's just that I couldn't set aside as much time all the time to listen to the material in that regard. So, and I wouldn't do it justice if you listen to a rock opera and you're just going to listen to a track from a rock opera. It doesn't seem like it seems right to me. So this album, great album, got to own it. Next, another one that's kind of sentimental because I was hitting my teenage years through this span. I was like 13 years old, and Men at Work, Business as Usual. It's like the quintessential pop album of the 80s that you have to kind of own. It has, Who Can It Be Now and Down Under on it. And I think Colin Hay is a vastly underrated artist. I mean, he is a fantastic musician, songwriter. He doesn't get enough credit for what he does. And this album right here, sentimental. I owned all these songs on 45 and then later got it on cassette. Now I own it on album, and I'm really happy about that. So, yet another band. Didn't give a chance till I joined this group, and I'm glad that I did give them a chance. Ran their whole discography. This is my favorite one. I know that there's a vast amount of opinions that it should be Aja or Katie Lied or other things, but Steely Dan, Can't Buy a Thrill. This is a great album, guys. You used to listen to Dirty Work and Do It Again. Just great material. Solid musicianship all the way through. Well produced. It's great stuff. And I'm glad that some guys from the group turned me on to this band. It's great. Next, an album that you just absolutely cannot go to a desert island without. Hands down. Probably my favorite album. If I had to exclude anything beyond 1989, it would be my favorite album of this group. Of course, it's Rumors, Fleetwood Mac. album solid through and through. Maybe one bad track on side two that everybody talks about it. That's a bad track that if you took it out, put Silver Springs in, then everybody would be singing, yeah, this is like a masterpiece. But it's still a masterpiece. It's only one song that was kind of iffy on it, but hey, everything else, side one, solid through and through. Maybe the best side one of all time on any album, no question. Guy I didn't get into just maybe it's 2 or 3 years ago. I took in a creative writing class, and I was looking for some type of music to have in the background that kind of be my muse music. And sure enough, what happened was I got turned on to Bob Dylan, and it's been going that way ever since. And this album right here was the album that I found when I had that on in the background. I could be really creative, especially in my writing and my art, and I felt great about that. Visions of Johanna is probably the best piece of poetry I've ever listened to as far as music goes. It is absolutely amazing. There is no better songwriting than that song, in my opinion. I still like Here Comes the Sun better as a song, but for poetry, yeah, Visions of Johanna, that's the one right there. My favorite Pink Floyd album. It's not Dark Side of the Moon, and it's not The Wall. It's Wish You Were Here. Wish You Were Here. I mean, I know there's only like five tracks on it, and half of the album or more is to shine on your crazy dime in all different parts and everything. But that's all it needs, because it is a solid piece of musicianship all the way through. Wish You Were Here, second favorite song of all time. And that's never changed. It's never even fluctuated at all. My top three, I don't think have ever fluctuated when it comes to that. So, great album. You should own it. Great stuff. Okay, going off the beaten path a little bit. You got to go alternative rock a little bit. Big part of my life. Had to leave out Automatic for the People because it fell outside of Rich's time frame. So, REM's Murmur. It's their debut album. Classic jangle pop, alternative rock stuff. If you've never listened to it before, listen to it all the way through. Check out Radio Free Europe. Talk about the passion. Perfect Circle, one of the best love songs ever written. You got to check these guys out, guys. It's my favorite band. Everybody on the channel knows it is. They know I'll talk about this band ad nauseum. Okay, last album that I have. Again, not big into guitar guys, and I really didn't like any of his work in any of the other bands that he ever played in. I don't like Derek and the Dominoes. I just never got into the stuff. But this album, Slow Hand by Eric Clapton, it is great. It is great. There's some great musicianship in here, and the songs are just good. Wonderful Tonight, probably top 10 song. Definitely for sure. I got to think that it's got to be there. But if you don't own this album right here, guys, this is an album to get. If you're into blues, listen to this album. If you're into rock, listen to this album. I mean, it just has everything that you could think that you want. So that's my 12 right there. I hope that everybody's not going to shade on them too much, but that's what I got. Rich, I hope this kind of meets your standards, buddy. I appreciate you. You keep up the good work on your video channel, man.